guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you are at this video, you already know it's going to be all about my pregnancy, postpartum, and labor and delivery. I don't want to spend too much time on the intro, I just want to get into the good stuff. I tried to film this video a couple times already. I think one time was around 3 months postpartum, and then another time like around 5 months postpartum, but each time it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like I was giving the story justice, so hopefully third time is a charm. Before we get into it, please go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. I post a lot of videos ranging anywhere from motherhood to family to fitness to skincare, so I'd love to have you board this train. And without further ado, let's get started.
Up the two of us, nobody knows us. Get in the car like staying up all night, order me pad thai, then we gon' sleep till you with no makeup, you in the bed.
Alright, so I found out that I was pregnant 4 weeks into my pregnancy. It wasn't a shocker because I am a regular on my menstrual cycle. I have been a regular since I started. So once I was 3 days late, I kind of already knew what was going on. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we had talked about having kids, and I had expressed to him, you know, like I wanted to have kids younger. And my husband, he's 10 years older than me. He was kind of pretty much ready too. And we knew that we were going to be together for a long time, aka forever. So we were like, if it happens, it happens. I always view kids as a blessing. There are a lot of people who are unable to have kids for a multitude of reasons. If I was ever privileged enough to carry a child, I've always said that I would be forever grateful and it would be a complete blessing. 3 days late on my period, I already kind of knew that something was going on. I waited till the third missed day to go ahead and take the test. So I took the test at home, and I actually didn't tell Joel that I was taking the test that day. And he actually had gone down to work at the gym because we both are personal trainers. So he had gone down to work at the gym, and I was actually going to be there later in the day. I took the test, I saw the 2 lines, and honestly, like, it wasn't at the moment this like emotional, like I didn't start crying or anything because I kind of already expected it. I was honestly happy. I was happy in the moment. When you just see 2 lines, you know, your life doesn't change dramatically, at least for me. I'm like, I'm still going to work today and tomorrow and the next day. So I just was excited and a little bit nervous to tell Joel. I went down to the gym later that day and I took a picture. Well, before I left, I had taken a picture of the pregnancy test, and we went through the work day. And then when we were closing, I was like, babe, I have something to tell you. And he had known that I had been late because I had mentioned it. And he was like, what happened? And I'm like, well, I took a test and we're pregnant. I just remember that he was like shocked. Didn't expect him to be that shocked, but he was happy. Like, he just kept saying, oh my gosh. Nothing changes in the moment, but we immediately were like talking, and we're like, what do we need to do to make sure that we are completely set up? Luckily, you know, I work at a job where I'm provided with really great insurance, and the first thing I did, as anyone would do, is I went to the doctor and I verified the pregnancy, and they told me that yes, you are indeed pregnant. I basically told them that it got confirmed, and then the next thing I did was set up my appointments. So when you guys become pregnant, or if you know someone that's pregnant, you have to go in for checkups. And this is where it'll get a little spotty because honestly, I'm already forgetting a lot of this stuff, but the first appointment is a really fun one because you can take your significant other in with you, and you guys can see the baby for the first time on the ultrasound. And that is honestly, like, I think the point where it's the most emotional besides the actual delivery, because that's when you realize that you actually have a living being growing inside of you. It's such a surreal feeling, and it's such a miracle. Like, I still am like mind blown when I think about a baby literally appearing out of nothing. Like, I remember on one of Luna's ultrasounds, I saw her spine for the first time, and just to see like this complex structure inside of you that was not there a couple months ago, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy, but it's just a beautiful thing. I guess I should say that at the time that I got pregnant, I was probably in the best shape of my life, hands down. I was going to the gym 5 to 6 times a week, lifting very heavy, eating very healthy. In the last couple of years, like, I had really cleaned up my diet and I was just on it. You know, I was working 3 jobs, I was doing my thing, and I feel like I put myself in the best physical shape for my pregnancy. So if I can give anyone any advice, and that is, if you are planning to become pregnant, I would say first focus on your own personal health and make sure that not only are you in a good space physically, but you're also in a good space mentally, because physiological benefits can help and push your pregnancy along. I had set myself up in the best possible way to have the most healthy and successful pregnancy. There are exceptions to that, and sometimes you literally can't control what happens with your body, and I'm totally aware of that. But if I could give any advice, I would say make sure your personal health is in order and your mental health is in order as well. The weeks were going by. We didn't tell friends or family until the 2nd trimester, which I think is pretty custom because there still is a risk of, you know, miscarriage. So for the next couple weeks, I was just working as usual. And also, you guys, I was super lucky. Don't compare your journey to mine, but I didn't have morning sickness. I remember feeling a little bit queasy, but not actually ever throwing up. In terms of cravings, I think I had a craving one day where I literally ate an entire bag of Blow Pops, and then that was like the only craving that I had, I think, my entire pregnancy, which is also kind of wild to me. And I wonder also if that's attributed to how I was eating. I'm not a small eater, and whenever I would not eat that much that day, then I would start to feel the queasy feeling. But as long as I was eating, you know, my normal 4 to 5 times a day, eating lots of protein, I was also eating very colorful meals, which is what I normally try to do anyway, I was feeling good. There would be days that I was a little fatigued, but nothing crazy. You know, the weeks went by, I was going to the checkups and everything was looking great. One big thing is that I wanted to work out my entire pregnancy, and of course, you know, you guys should talk to your doctor if you're going to do something like this. But being that I was a professional athlete, being that I am a trainer, and that I had been working out at such a high intense level, my doctor did clear me to continue certain workouts throughout my pregnancy. So I definitely made some adjustments, but for the most part, I was probably working out still 3 to 4 times a week. Nothing super high intensity because you do want to keep your heart rate in a certain range. But I was still weightlifting. I live in New York City. I was still working 3 jobs, so I was walking all over the place, and I do think that really helped just to keep, you know, my body fluid and keep it healthy. The weeks, they seemed to really fly by until I hit the 3rd trimester, because for me, I don't think I started showing until like maybe the 24th, 25th week, and even so, it was like a little bump. It looked like I just had like 3 burritos. Oh, one thing that I did want to mention about being pregnant that I did not realize is, unfortunately, I feel like there's still some sort of stigma about pregnant women, and I'll be honest with you guys, young, healthy pregnant women. I would get strange stares. There were times that I would be in the subway and people would just be looking at me funny. I just feel like there's a lot of little nuances that people don't really know about when they are interacting with someone pregnant. And you would think, like, people have been having babies for millions of years, and we still have it as this weird stigma in our society. Unfortunately, there are times that I literally got hit on being pregnant, which was like the most disgusting and awkward experiences of my life. Multiple times this happened, but I do think that it's something that needs to be called attention to. And I just feel like it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way for pregnant women. I was still feeling really good until I hit the 3rd trimester, and that's when I feel like I expanded overnight. It seems like every week I was just getting a little bit bigger. Baby was growing. The good news is that she was healthy, but I wasn't fitting into anything. I have always been on the thinner side. Even when I was a kid, I was like rail thin. They used to call me Little Bird. So I never had experiences where I would go into a clothing store and try things on and things wouldn't fit until I got pregnant. That was also something new to navigate for me, because it's like I'm still, leading this active lifestyle. I'm still eating healthy, and yet I'm still growing and growing and growing. And, although I realize that I'm creating a life, it's still something that you have to navigate, and, the changes in your body, and there still is some insecurity there. I really commend all pregnant women, and if you feel the same way or know what I mean, please go ahead and drop a comment below, because it is kind of a weird experience to be growing, I will say, out of control, and you're not really doing anything different with your diet. Especially with me, like, I'm very aware of my body. So that was also something that I wanted to share with you guys. Once I hit the 3rd trimester, I challenged myself that even though I was round, I wanted to make sure that I was still, taking my prenatals every single day. I was taking like vegetarian prenatals every single day of my pregnancy. I was taking fish oil supplements, I think calcium and folic acid. All of these things were approved by my doctor first, but I just wanted to really fuel my baby and give her the best chance at being healthy for her delivery and beyond. In the 3rd trimester, I started to slow things down a little bit more, but everything was looking like it was on track, and I definitely was getting more and more tired. I think I started canceling sessions with clients a little bit more, which, I mean, you can understand being in New York City, working 3 jobs, walking all over the place. And it was summertime because I ended up having my baby in October. So I ended up getting married and having a baby shower, 2 baby showers, that is, which I will talk about in another video. It was a surprise wedding. We had a baby shower, which my sister planned for me in LA, which is where all my family was living at the time, and most of my friends are from LA, and some of Joel's friends as well. So we went to LA, we had a baby shower, ended up having a surprise wedding. It was literally a blast, and then we were able to have a baby moon. We stayed at this amazing hotel in Santa Monica called, I think, Casa del Mar, which we definitely will be going back to 100%. Highly recommend. And then we came back, and I think I flew at like 34 weeks, which I think is like right before the limit that they let you fly, because they don't want you having babies on the plane in the sky. Then we came back to New York, and we had a second baby shower for Joel's family and friends that lived here. It was absolutely beautiful. I ended up having the baby shower here coincidentally on my 27th birthday. My mother-in-law planned that baby shower, and it happened to be on my birthday, so that was awesome too. I remember I did my last workout at 38 weeks and 4 days, I believe. When I went to the gym, I was feeling particularly different that day. I won't say more tired, but just a little bit more lethargic, a little bit heavier. I did my workout super low intensity that day. I still weightlifted, but I did everything super slow, took extra breaks. And then I had actually told my corporate job that I would like to work from home the last like 2 weeks before my due date, or was it 3 weeks? Something like that, the last 3 weeks before my due date, because I was not trying to have my water break like in my corporate office and like do the whole rush to the hospital thing. Kindly enough, they allowed me to do that, which was the best thing ever, because I also was able to really get into my nesting mode and set up like all the baby stuff, like the baby changing table and all that good stuff. At 38 weeks and 6 days, I believe. I hope I'm remembering right. It was a Wednesday night, and kind of like any other Wednesday night, but pregnant. I went to sleep, and I remember I woke up in the middle of the night and I was feeling these, and you'll find out what Braxton Hicks contractions are, or at least I thought they were Braxton Hicks contractions, because those are when you get these little like crampy contraction feelings, but they're like fake. So I was getting those like periodically in the 3rd trimester, but nothing intense. But this particular night I woke up and they were pretty intense, and I'm like, oh, and you know, it was pitch dark. I'm laying next to Joelle in bed, and I was like, well, let me just go to the restroom. So I kind of like wandered to the restroom in the dark, and I'm like doing my thing in the bathroom, and I'm just still feeling these like tightness, these contractions, but you never really know what contractions are until you actually go through them. But at the time I didn't really know. I flush the toilet, I come back into the room, and I'm like crawling in bed, and the contractions are getting a little bit stronger, like a little more intense, and I just remember like grabbing my stomach for a second. I'm like, oh. And it passed, and I went to get off the bed again, and my water broke. Niagara Falls, people. But in the movies I like see like a cute little like waterfall, and they're like, oh my god, this lady's having a baby. Like, no, this was like a gush. It kind of feels like you peeing yourself. Like, I know that sounds gross, but we're adults. I remember it was pitch dark, and I go, Joelle, and he's like half asleep. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, I think my water just broke. And this man, he never wakes up for anything, like anything. But this night when I said, I think my water broke, he literally sprung up out of bed, and he goes, yes, it's go time. And he flips on the light, and I'm like, do you think this is it? Like, is this my water breaking? And he's like, yeah, definitely. Like, you would think that there'd be a mad scramble after that, especially on your first baby. But for whatever reason, in my head, I was like, oh, like people had told me, or someone had told me, like, you have so much time after your water break. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, we have so much time. Like, luckily we had already packed the hospital bag, and it was just sitting at the door. But I was like, I'm gonna take a shower, and I'm gonna shave, and I'm gonna chill, and all this stuff. So I took a shower. He had to put some last minute things in his bag. In the meantime, I call the hospital, and I called the wrong hospital at first, because we have a hospital that has the same name but are in different parts of the city, and they're like, yeah, like, no, you're calling the wrong hospital, your doctor doesn't work here. So I called the other hospital, and they're like, yeah, your doctor is not on call, but we'll go ahead and take you, like, go ahead and come on down. So by this time, you guys, like, these contractions are definitely getting a little more intense. They're happening, I think, every like 3 minutes or so. We call an Uber, we get all our bags, we get in the Uber, and they are gradually becoming more close together and more intense. So I'm in the back of the Uber, and it's like this kid driving. I get in, and my husband's like, okay, like, we're having a baby, we're going to the hospital. So he starts driving at like 100 miles an hour, and like, I mean, I guess it was a good thing, but at the same time, like, in my head, I'm like, we have a lot of time. So I'm in the back seat. I think we texted our family and let them know that we're on our way to the hospital. It was 4 a.m. when my water broke, and then by the time we got to the hospital, after we had showered and everything, it was 6 a.m. And by the time we get to the hospital, my contractions are intense. And I'll tell you guys this, my entire pregnancy, people were asking me, like, are you gonna get an epidural? Like, what do you think? And I think people should choose what's best for them. What I told everyone is, I was like, I'm gonna try to do it without, just like, you know, I would do anything in my life. Like, I don't go straight to medicine, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be a superhero, and I'm gonna take the medicine, which is what God created through men to give to women. I think there was like one other lady in the waiting room, but I think she was being induced, so she was just sitting there chilling. She had like an appointment to be there, and I'm like filling out forms, and every once in a while I'm just like, oh, like, because I'd feel a contraction. But once the contraction passed, like, I'm completely fine. I'm completely me again and coherent. So they get me into the room before, it's the room before the delivery room because they didn't have enough rooms available or something like this in New York City, you guys. And they give me a gown and I think someone comes in, but they kind of just leave us in the room for a while. I honestly think that they didn't realize how far along I was. They were like, I feel like they were like, oh, it's her first baby, like she's being a little bit dramatic, because I was really feeling these contractions, oh my gosh, but no one was really coming in the room, like the nurses weren't really coming. So finally, they kind of hear me from outside, like groaning a little bit, and a lady comes in and she's like, okay, like I'm gonna check you real quick, and she checks me and she's like, okay, you're already 5 centimeters dilated. So then they kind of start expediting things a little bit. So they let me know that my doctor is not going to be available, which I was totally fine with. I'm like, everyone here is qualified, you know. At this point, she's talking to me and I'm like barely understanding her questions because my contractions are coming fast and they are staying for a long time. I don't really want to do the epidural, but the contractions are pretty bad. And the nurse went ahead and reassured me. She's like, you know, you can just place the order for it because sometimes it takes a while for the anesthesiologist to get to the room. So she's like, it's better that you ask for it and then have the option than, you know, wait till the end and then you want to ask for it and it's not available or he's like with somebody else. Well, after that, from 5 centimeters and on, until I received the epidural, because I ended up getting that epidural, everything is pretty much a blur. And I don't know if I have any pictures to insert here. If I do, I will. But I was in a trance from that pain, and that pain is like no other. I have pretty painful periods every month. I would liken it to that times 100. It kind of feels like the worst period cramp that you've ever had, but also like a pressure at the same time, so it just makes it that much worse. But the pain was getting so bad that I was actually kind of feeling nauseated from the pain. I don't know if it's different for everyone. I considered myself to have a high pain tolerance. I've had surgeries. I've had like 4 or 5 major surgeries, like torn ACL, torn hip labrum, all that stuff from playing soccer. But this pain was like very unbearable, and I think it was because I wasn't really getting a lot of breaks in between. It would be like a rolling pain, and then I would have like a 10-second break and it would come back. I don't know if that's the same with everyone, but I'd be interested to know. They always say like the epidural going in, because it's a huge needle that goes in your back, is so painful, blah blah blah. Let me tell you, nothing hurts as bad as contractions, so I barely even felt that needle. And I remember they gave me a waiver to sign, and they could have literally had me sign my life away and I wouldn't have known, because I was in so much pain. I'm like, I will sign anything to take this pain away. I ended up getting the epidural and I was 7 centimeters dilated when I got it, which I came to find out later. I think that was like the last point before you can't get it anymore, and I don't know the science behind why you can't get it at a certain point anymore, but I think that's 7 centimeters on my first kid. I'll take it. It was so quick, and it was like night and day. Like, I will insert a picture or a video of after I got the epidural when it kicked in, and you would have thought like I was in like a 5-star hotel chilling in a resort on the beach. I felt absolutely no pain. You feel a little bit of pressure, but it's nothing compared to the contractions without the epidural. For my future pregnancies, will I try and do it without the epidural? Always. But at the end of the day, if I need it, I need it. Well, once I got the epidural, it was, I believe, like 8:30 or 9 a.m. And then it's just a waiting game, and I was able to take a nap. I think they brought me like some juice and some ice chips because they don't really want you to eat during this time. And then she was like, we're just gonna wait and keep checking you until you're 10 centimeters dilated. So I slept. I got in touch with my family a little bit. Joelle's mom and mother-in-law came down, and then finally it was was time to push. So I had two wonderful doctors that I met for the first time right there, and they were absolutely amazing. They made me feel so comfortable. They came in, they were like, oh my gosh, like, you're gonna do such a good job. And I think there's a total of maybe 4 medical staff in the room. So they just told me what to do, and I ended up starting to push at 2 o'clock, and Luna was born at 2:16. So it was a really short time. And they also said that pushing time can be attributed to like the strength of your core and being in good physical shape as well. I was really glad that all the months of pushing myself through had paid off. When she was born, you guys, it's the most amazing feeling ever in your entire life. Like, it's a sense of relief, it's a sense of gratitude, it's a sense of like protection. I feel like all your instincts kick in. This baby was the most beautiful baby that I'd ever seen, and I just felt so proud. I felt so grateful. I felt so accomplished, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It was worth all of the contractions. It was worth the 9 months, of carrying her and everything. Well, Luna was born at 2:16 on October 10th. Yeah, and then after that, they took us to the recovery room, and shout out to my husband's sister-in-law, who actually works at the hospital, and she was able to help us get a room to ourselves, because little did we know, most people have to share a room. So we were so lucky, and I'm so grateful to her for that. I think that in the future I will always try and get a room to ourselves, because I just can't imagine going through the recovery and trying to heal and having to share like a bathroom and everything. Please drop a comment below if you had to share rooms and what your experience was like. Once the baby is born, they usher you off to the recovery room. You get some time to rest. They bring you some meals depending on your hospital. They do a lot of training. They come in periodically to see how you and the baby are doing. They bring the baby to tests to make sure everything is okay. They do a lot of measurements, and they come to see how your pain is. The next couple days, it's helpful, but it's also tough because you don't really get to just completely rest. They come in every so often. I want to say maybe like every 2 hours or so, just to check on you and make sure everything's okay. So by the time it got to Saturday, we were looking forward to coming home and just, bringing the baby to her house and showing her around, and then just kind of adjusting into like new parenthood. So on Saturday, we got discharged from the hospital, and we drove Luna home. And when we got here, it was amazing. Like, to leave as a family of 2 and come back as a family of 3, it was like the best. Okay guys, so that was the labor and delivery part. In terms of postpartum, and let me know if you want me to do another video elaborating on this, but the short and sweet of it is, after you give birth, a lot changes. Physiologically, and not only are you adjusting to your body and your body is healing, the postpartum time is a time that you are learning how to be a mother. You are healing your body. You're learning how to navigate your relationship with your partner in a different way, because prior to the baby being born, it was just you two, and now it's the 3 of you, and it's not about the baby. It's not about you two anymore. So that's definitely also another video that I think my husband and I will talk about, like how your relationship changes after baby, and what adjustments that we've made to make sure that, we're still developing and growing and enhancing our relationship in the midst of having children as well. Anyways, I think I'm gonna stop it right there. Let me know if you guys want me to go more in depth about any of those things. Thank you so much for watching. It's been great just to reminisce on everything. I 100% definitely think that we'll have more babies, God willing, and I I'm hoping that each one will just get a little bit more comfortable. Feel free to drop a comment below. Please like and subscribe and let me know your experiences, and I'll see you guys in my next video.